Okay, you guys, welcome to Boss Bitch Radio. This is Insta Awesome. Today, I have a special episode for you. We are going to be chatting all things bodybuilding after the age of 50.
Oh, God, that's old.
You're so old. What the fuck?
I don't know.
I'm catching up, so it's okay.
It's just, I'm like farting dust now. It's like, whatever.
Anyhow, so I have special guest today, Tina Bauer, also known as Insta Awesome over on Instagram. So please go follow her if you are not following her yet. Mm-hmm. We did an episode already. So this is episode number 2. Mm-hmm. The first episode was episode number 75 done. Do you remember the date on that?
I think April.
Yes. April of last year.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. Okay. So we're going to dive into all things today. Competing after 50, kind of retelling your story a little bit because we have a lot of new listeners since we first launched that episode.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and dive in.
Okay.
You
ask
ready?
The questions. I answer
know
them.
You're nervous.
Mm-hmm.
She's nervous. Not really. A little
Just
bit.
a little.
We had a shot of vodka.
Teensy.
I'm not even lying right now. So let's tell the people. Give us a little bit of a background as far as your history with exercise before you started competing.
Okay, with exercise. Well, first of all, something that I forgot to mention in the first podcast was that when I was a little girl, my uncle was actually Mr. New Jersey. And
like bodybuilding Mr. New Jersey. Okay.
Yes, he was a competitor, and him and my aunt used to take me to their gym when I was a little girl.
I do remember you telling me the story.
Yeah. And so maybe, just maybe, that made an impact on my life that I didn't ever think about, actually.
Yeah. You sent me pictures of that, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
Cool. Mm-hmm.
So, fast forward, when I was in my 20s, I did work out. We had a gym in the garage always, or I actually went to Gold's Gym, World's Gym in the Bay Area. I was a Coors Light girl after I had
those are the best photos,
one of my babies.
Yes.
And
what does a Coors Light girl even do?
I did like some of their sponsored, like the water skiing championships at Marine World, actually. And
I love that.
Body Glove was one of their sponsors. So I would wear body glove outfits and just.
Body Glove was the shit back then.
No, it's still a thing, actually. Did you know that?
No.
Still a thing.
Okay.
Anyways. So I would do that, right? And I was very fit. I didn't even think about it, though. I wasn't like I think about everything right now. I think about the way that I look. I think about every single muscle that's popping out of me, what isn't popping out of me. I never thought about any of that. I was just like some retarded 21-year-old mom.
Yeah.
And I was doing that. That was great. So I did that. But then, I got married. I had 2 more children. I spent my 30s just letting myself go. I didn't work out at all. I gained a lot of weight. And I turned 40, just to speed that up. I turned 40 and I thought, I've got to turn this around. I am not trying to spend the rest of my life looking like this. I never looked like this before. Why are we doing this? This is just dumb.
Mm-hmm.
So we started working out again, and I made sure that I lost all of that weight very quickly.
What were you doing? Like what kinds of workouts?
I was mostly running.
Oh, that's right. You were a runner.
Yeah, mostly.
I forget about that sometimes.
It's retarded. I mean, to just do that, right?
Yeah,
so I was doing that. I did, some slight working out, but that was it. And then I just changed my diet is what I did. But I was doing things like boiled chicken.
Boiled chicken. That's
and
hardcore.
I would make these pancakes in the morning that were just like egg whites and bananas mixed together. We probably all know that recipe. And
I actually don't.
No?
No.
It's kind of good, actually. It wasn't bad. I mean, I was sticking to it and eating it every single day, right? So that was great.
Okay.
And I lost like 30, 40 pounds in like 3 months.
This is in your 40s?
This was when I was 40.
Okay.
And, that was great. That was like a kickoff, right? And then I was just continuing on with this running. Again, if anybody's ever listened to the episode 75, then I met you at some point.
Yes. We'll link that up in the show notes too, if anybody wants to listen to that.
It's a good episode. I re-listened to it the other day just to make sure that it wasn't stupid and that I didn't repeat myself too much other than to get us caught up right now. But I met you and it changed my fitness life. Like, honestly, it really did.
Yeah.
Because, I was tiny and that was great. I wasn't like necessarily skinny fat, but I definitely was not like this.
Because when did we meet?
When you purchased the gym that I worked at?
Yes. I'm trying to think of the year of that.
Let's see.
I feel like it was 7 or 8 years ago.
Yes. It had to be like 8 or 9 years ago.
Damn, Gina.
I know.
Okay.
And I worked in a salon in the back of this gym and I never one time worked out at that gym. Because
That's so funny.
I would look at that gym and I would be like, it was big.
Our gym was badass.
It was like a world's gym, like just a warehouse, giant gym.
Yes.
And I was like, I am not getting out there. I don't know how to use any of that shit out there. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And then I met you. And again, the story is that I met you and I was like, okay, she is not going to like me because she doesn't like anybody. For sure, clearly.
That's hilarious.
But we quickly clicked, actually.
Yes. Yeah.
And you got me to...
You were one of my first like one-on-one personal training.
One-on-one. So we were literally one-on-one.
Yeah. I'd done personal training, but I hadn't done... Like it had been a minute. And then I started training you and a handful of other people at that gym.
Yeah. So like now to work out with her is a rarity for sure.
Sorry.
Like, that almost does not happen.
Yeah.
Then it was like one-on-one. You would follow me to every machine. We would talk, laugh, cry, all of that stuff.
Oh my God, all of that.
It was awesome. It was amazing.
Yeah.
But it got me into it. Like I was in, I wanted to do that. And I thought I wanted to compete.
We try?
We did, but things didn't work out for my personal life. And put it on hold. Didn't work out for a few years. Reconnected with you later. But I had gained so much weight in that time.
And you were like, I'm so embarrassed to come back.
So embarrassed. And it was awful.
Do you remember those days?
I totally remember.
I was so trolling you.
It was, you were like, listen, I'm going to start taking private people. And you came to my mind. Do you want to do this? And I was like, no. Yes.
Yes.
And I did it. And I forced myself because it was at some stupid hour in the morning and I'm not about that life.
Totally.
But stupid o'clock, I would go to the gym and work out with you. Sometimes I wouldn't show up.
Yeah. But do you remember those early days? Because I think it's important for women to realize like they're not alone in that feeling of like, I don't want to go. I'm so out of shape. Why am I lifting these weights? I'm fat. I need to lose weight first, like all these things. And I think you probably had these thoughts. And I was like, just fucking get in here, right? Like, just get in here. We'll figure it out,
1,000%. I forced myself through those feelings. I knew that I just needed to force myself through them. Because eventually it becomes a habit and where you don't want to go now, and you're making up all these excuses in your head on the reasons why you cannot go. Eventually it becomes a habit and I couldn't imagine not going. Like, I think I've missed like one time ever in the last probably 3-4 years or something like that. And that was not even my doings. Like I needed to rescue somebody. But I can't. It's part of my life now.
Yes. Okay. So you started back with me. Now, from my perspective with you, I knew I could feel the resistance, right? Like you'd come in and you were just pissed off at the world. Like, I don't want to be here. You were in baggy clothes. You were just like, I don't know. And it was like a struggle for a while. Yeah. I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell by what I'm wearing, like how I'm feeling. Even in the competitive world, in prep, close to show, post show, improvement season, all of that, right? Like you can tell I get from wearing, booty shorts to sports bras to then I'll start maybe wearing like leggings and sports bras. Then I'll start putting a shirt on at some point, right?
Yes.
But
which is completely unnecessary.
I mean,
but I am of the competitor mindset, so I understand. I'm past that now. I give zero fucks now. I'm like shorts.
Maybe I'm like that too.
Care. But I think you've come a long way, and I think it's definitely different now. But yes, definitely know what you're saying about that.
I'm 3 months post show right now, and I'm holding it together pretty well. And I'm still showing up in my shorts and my sports bra. So that's how I know.
Yes.
And I'm still walking like that too, because I walk 3 miles a day.
Yes.
And in my walk, I wear that and I don't give a crap.
I love it. So your 40s, you come back to me in your 50s, right? Because when we started training together, 8-9 years ago, then you were in your 40s.
Yeah.
So then you took a pause, you came back, and you started back up, but you decided to compete. Let's also remember that you told me you were never going to do that.
Oh, that is a fact. Okay. So when I first came back to you after taking that break, I was like, I am not doing this. Like, there's just no way. It's not something that I'm interested in doing.
Don't mind that.
I just want to be fit. Yes. I just want to look like I'm going to compete.
Right.
I don't want to compete. But then I got to a certain level. Like, we went through the whole thing where I didn't want to take the pictures in the beginning. It mortified me. I wanted to I'd rather have died.
Right.
Like, we don't need to see pictures of this. You're looking at it now. It's gross. I don't want it.
The thing that was frustrating is you had already made changes before those progress photos, right? Yeah. When you came to me, you're like, abso-fucking-lutely no way.
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, motherfucker, like, I'm going to get her to change, but she's not going to let me take these progress photos.
No.
And so I feel like it took a minute, probably 3 or 4 months.
Oh, it took a minute. I mean, we probably could have got some better pictures in the beginning, but I just could not even bring myself to do that. I'm not even about to get naked in front of you.
Like, you would almost start crying.
Almost. It was super uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
Clench my fists, close my eyes, just take these pictures. Let's get it done. Tell me when you're done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And at some point, when did you decide that you were like, okay, maybe I'm ready to do this competition then?
Oh,
did you see somebody else in the studio? What was it?
I think what happened is your clientele started picking up, first of all, right?
Right.
There were a few girls that were in my age, Janet being one of them.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And I was like, oh man, like, she's doing it. My body is like almost, I mean, I'm on my way to that. You know what I mean? Like, what am I going to do with all this shit now? You know, just walk around being fucking awesome all the time. I mean, for no reason. Or are we just going to put this to some good use?
Right. Because you had made a pretty drastic transformation.
Yeah. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And so I saw somebody else doing it, and I just thought, you know what? I guess I'm going to fucking do this.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you made me do.
I'm so sorry. Not sorry. Now I've created a monster.
Yeah. And so I was also very convinced that I was one and done. Like, I was one and done. We're just going to do this. See how we feel about it. Blah, 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 blah. Then I realized, like, I need this in my life. I actually need this in my life. I enjoy this. I enjoy to be, party girl sometimes a little bit. You know, I enjoy good food and restaurants and doing all those things. That's fun and fine sometimes. But if I'm going to do that all the time, I'm just going to end up right back where I started. I am never going there again. Not ever.
Yes.
And I have some strange ability that I know that a lot of people don't have this. I just flip that switch and I go from whatever I've been doing for the last few months to nope. And I start eating the same shit every day, all day. I don't think about it. I don't cheat. I don't struggle with it. I don't do anything. I just keep my eye on the prize.
Yeah. You do have a very unique way to shift gears from like being a total asshole into like, and I'm in prep.
Yeah.
You know? And so now share with everybody how many shows you've done.
So I've done 5 now, and I have at least 2 of them scheduled in my head for next year. Okay.
And tell everybody when you started competing. How old were you when you started your competitive journey?
So 3 years ago is when, so what's that? 53, 52, 53. I don't know. I think at 52 is when COVID happened and all
Yes.
that. And I was 5 weeks out from show and abort mission because they canceled all of those, right?
Yeah, that was awful. And I felt so terrible because I knew how hard it was to even get you to that point.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, she's never going to do this again.
I know. And I literally took the rest of that year because it was a June show that I would have been doing.
Mm-hmm.
I took the rest of that year to just be an asshole again.
Mm-hmm.
And then when January rolled around, I was like, okay, no, I have a goal. I had a goal. I'm completing that goal.
Yes.
So I did that. And I surely did that. I switched the flip. I flipped the switch.
Yeah.
And competed in June that year. That was fine. Yeah, everybody's got to get that first one under their belt, right?
For sure.
My next one was in November, actually. So I did a June and I did a November.
You did 2 that year.
Yeah.
I can't even believe you did that.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's just what I do now. Like in my head, I already planned this out in my head. Like I'm going to do June and July somewhere. And then I'm going to enjoy some family and friends and food and drink for a little bit. Not too crazy, you know what I mean? Because I understand, you know, you can't just be
right,
you know. So I'm keeping my shit in check a little bit more each time.
Yes,
I understand the value of not letting yourself get too crazy
in the off season.
Yeah. And so I know that already. And each time, actually, I get tired of the flip side, if you will, sooner.
So 2 things. One, let's tell everybody, because people are super curious of like stats. Like, what is okay, so how tall are you? How much do you weigh on show day? And how much do you usually weigh like in the off season?
Okay. So everybody thinks I'm taller.
It's because you have such a big personality.
Is it? I don't know.
Yeah, no,
maybe
I
it's
hear that all the time.
Stripper heels. I don't know, but
yeah,
I get taller a lot. So I'm only 5'4". My stage weight has ranged anywhere from 122 to 129. 129 when I first started. 2 shows ago, I was 122. We decided with a whole nother year of working out and building more muscle, more mature muscle. My body had changed even more. It does every year. This last show, I was 126, I believe.
Yeah, let's talk about that because I think it's important for people to understand when they're starting this journey, then when they do their first show, and let's say they come in pretty lean or whatever, and they have this like stage weight, right?
Right.
And they assume, I hear this often, that next shows they should be weighing less.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh, I just need to be smaller and tiny or whatever. That wasn't the case for you.
No.
Right? Like I always tell people, we don't know what you're going to look like until we do your first show.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get you that lean. If you've never been that lean before, we have zero clue as to how much muscle and where it's landing and all those things. And so over the course of all these shows, we've refined your training. We've refined your cardio.
Yeah.
Your metabolism has gotten better. And I think it's because you have made it a point to not drill yourself down continuously for the past however many years, right? But this last show was a struggle and it was a mind fuck. And I'll let you tell the story because it's an interesting one.
So the last couple of preps, we have had to reverse me into the show because my body has gotten ready too soon.
Yes.
The last 2 preps, my upper body has developed so fast to where you have completely pulled me from upper body for months and months and months.
And you hate that.
I hate it because I love to keep everything sharp, right? Like I love to keep everything going. And it's weird because you're thinking, I'm not doing any upper body for months and months. How can this be okay?
Right. You were like freaking out. Yeah.
Already, you know, I am not gifted in the glute area. So I have to work harder for that. And then add my age to that. I've got to work even harder for that, for less results. So you've got me doing, you know, glutes, legs 4 times a week. I'm doing upper body no times a week.
I love it.
What is that? Like, oh my God, no.
How hard was that for you the last show?
Very difficult for me.
It was such a mind fuck.
Such a mind fuck. You pulled me from all cardio months in advance. You upped my steps. I was doing steps, getting a lot of steps in, like 15, 16,000 a day, just, to keep me going there, but pulled my cardio because I had gotten a little bit too lean. When I get too lean, I get the pumpkin shoulders, lots of striations, lots of separation on the
glute hammy tie.
Yeah, glute hammy
tie-ins are ridiculous.
I mean, my tie-ins are pretty good for somebody that's my age, for sure. But we start seeing all that separation in the quads, in the hammies, all that stuff. And it's all the stuff that they say that you get deducted for.
Yes.
I don't really see that so much. I feel like the stuff that they deduct
for amateurs.
Yes. Is stuff that I see in the pros.
Yeah.
So
sure.
There's just a fine line there. My body's going to do what it wants to do. I suppose we can kind of work with that a little bit. I suppose that I should feel good about not having to do cardio. I'm watching these other girls have to do so much cardio. They're almost dying in a day. I'm over here in my head dying because I'm not doing any. It doesn't make sense. It's not fair.
And so in your brain, you're like, this is not right. This is not working. My first show, I was like on 900 calories for a few weeks.
Yes, I was. This last prep, you upped my calories to so much.
How many calories were you eating like up into the show?
I mean, like
2,000?
Yeah.
It was insane.
That's insane because I've been down to like 860 calories for weeks.
But let's explain to them, we started your prep in January. Right? Because I was like, look, you've been dicking around as per the usual, which is fine. But I don't know what your new body set point is and all that. So we need to get like some
So we wanted to be careful.
Yes.
Be proactive, right?
So we started in January for June, but you were ready in like March.
Yes, I was. I was ready about 8 weeks too soon. Mm-hmm. So we were maintaining. Okay.
And feeding you.
That sounds great. That sounds easy. But it's not. It's hard to maintain, to make sure that you're not going this way, to make sure you're not going that way. And, more food's great, but I'm not a big fan of more food. Yeah. When I'm in prep, it's not my thing. Like you've got some people eating 5-6 times a day. I'm eating 4 times a day. Mm-hmm. I don't want to do that. It's not something that I'm a fan of. Mm-hmm. So it's a different kind of struggle, probably the better of the two struggles.
For sure.
I won't deny that. But again, I was ready 8 weeks too soon this last time. So it was for 8 weeks that I had to just stay the same. There was no new goal. And I'm a goal getter when it comes to this.
You like to have like a scale goal every week.
Absolute goal getter.
And try that.
Give me a new goal this week. Give me a new one. I'm going to conquer that too every time. No, my goal was to stay the same, stay the same, stay the same. That was really difficult. But I did it. And, it worked out.
It worked out. Yeah. I mean, you continued to improve your physique every single show. You came in lean and we argued a little bit on this last show where I was like, look, this is what I'm doing. And if you're going to want this and I want this, we'll just have to fucking compromise. Okay. So we had a little bit of a collaborative compromise. It did not go in my favor 100%. It didn't go in your favor 100%. But I feel like we found the Goldilocks spot.
Yeah.
And it worked out. Because you did very well. So
I do listen to you.
Yes.
Even if it's against my better judgment sometimes. Because I feel like, I have a coach for a reason. And I trust you so very much. Right. And you have way more knowledge than I do. But I know my body also, right? So you're telling me to do some of these things and I could feel my body being like, no, we don't want to do those things. But I'm like, fuck, like I just got to do what you tell me to do because that's the whole point of this situation of having you in the first place, right? You're going to tell me what to do.
Yeah. And
I don't do this for a living. You do.
In prep where you have total prep brain.
Yeah.
Where even though you were fed, it's like you were constantly looking at your body and you're like, I'm fat. I got, and I'm like, no, you're fine. It's fine.
I mean, I will say this time around, my abs were pretty crazy. But
I did have you doing more abs.
So we did.
Because I needed to keep you busy.
Yeah, we incorporated more abs, which was great because I love to do that actually. Yeah. And that was great. But at some point I could see like that chiseling happening, right? Which again, you're deducted in bikini if you get too chiselly.
Chiselly is a word.
Yeah, chiselly. In amateur. But, I feel like it came across good in the end.
Yeah. Oh, totally. It was amazing.
Yeah.
But let's talk about how, because I did not want to forget this, and I know it maybe isn't like related to this, but how I'm never on Facebook. Okay. And I decided the other day, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I don't even know, to pop into Facebook and kind of like, oh, what's going on over here in the land of Facebook? And you are in a Facebook group that is bodybuilding for 50 and over. Is it women?
No, it's
okay. It's just
men and
bodybuilding for people over 50.
Yeah.
And I saw that I was tagged in it, and I go to this post and you had posted a photo of like you before and you on stage, and it went insane.
It did go insane because I've looked at other posts on that feed there, and sometimes it's usually less than 1,000 or so. There was a few that have been pretty crazy, but pretty quickly I had like 8,000 likes,
nuts,
over 800 comments. And a question that would come up over and over again is, who's your coach? What are you doing? So I would tag you and say, hey, check her out.
And so I did, I've got some new followers from that, maybe some new podcast listeners. But the thing that was the funniest about that whole situation is that people thought that was a fake photo.
Yes.
They're like, oh, this is not the same
person. That
person.
is not the same person.
I'm like, yes, it is actually.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, listen, I don't know what to tell you. As the person in both of those photos, I can tell you that is me. That is what I look like then. This is what I look like now. And when you lose weight and gain muscle, it's amazing what happens to you. Like your whole fucking face changes.
Yeah, but it was funny because some guy was like, that room, she looks like she was photoshopped in the room.
Oh yeah,
it doesn't even look real. I'm like, bitch,
it's my house.
I'm like, bitch, I have looked at that room for fucking 3 years. It's the same fucking room. Okay. So I mean, hopefully we can get a picture up on this YouTube of your before and after so people can see it. So I'll give it to my podcast manager to plug up there. But just so funny because it's, I mean, we always like jokingly laugh that you're like the Benjamin Button because you essentially reverse aged in terms of your physique from when you were in your, 30s and 40s to now your 50s. It's like a totally different body.
I mean, when I've posted on that post before and, sometimes it would offend me. Like I'd be like, like, fuck you. I put all this work into this shit. That is me. Fuck you.
Yeah, exactly.
But then I think to myself now, that is sort of a compliment. Like if you cannot tell or if you have doubts, then that's fucking awesome.
Then we did some shit.
We did.
Some shit, for sure.
Like, that's great.
Yeah. So what do you think as far as starting in your 50s, how do you think that's different than if you would have started in your 30s?
I mean, you see these competitors that start in their 20s and their 30s, and obviously that's prime time. You know what I mean? I mean, they gotta, no offense to them because they're working out very hard as well. But my thing is always you work out harder for less results as an older person.
Right.
So you can think of whatever the opposite is for that, right? I mean, they just already look great for no fucking reason. And like, right?
No, but yes, I know what you mean.
Like sometimes when they would do my hair and makeup appointments, I'd get screwed and have to go there at like 3:00 in the morning. And I'd be like, listen, can you please make a 20-year-old come at this time? Like I already look tired for no fucking reason.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Like, these 20-year-olds come in at that time.
Fucking serious.
Okay. So if I had started earlier, I mean, I feel like my body as a 50-plus-year-old person does really well, right? Like, I mean,
yes.
I can just imagine what I could have accomplished if I had started earlier. That would have been great. But that's not what life dealt for me then. That wasn't a thought process for me then. So all I can do is do what I do now. And, you can do two things. I'm watching a lot of the other people that maybe I went to high school with or that I know, friends, whatever. And I feel like just commonly for somebody that's in their 50s, you kind of start to give up a little bit. You know what I mean? You start like laying off the things that make you feel good and look good, right? Like maybe you're just like, oh God, I'm already 50. Like what's the fucking point, right?
Yeah.
There is a fucking point. Let me just tell you.
Tell us the point.
Oh, the point is, I mean, bitch, do what you can to make yourself look and feel better for the rest of your life. Like be doing this forever.
Yeah.
I see some competitors, some ladies that are in their 70s. I'm like, whoa, that is great. Right. I remember one time We went to your very first pro debut show, me and my husband, right? And we're sitting there. And in these amateur shows, they go 50 plus and that's it. And then just however old you are, you just are in that group, right? At the pro shows, though, they go all the way up to, I believe, 65 plus, right? Yeah. So they start with the oldest first.
In the masters, yes.
Yeah. Okay. They start with the oldest first and they go down. And we're sitting in the audience and they're like, okay, we're going to start with master 65 plus. And all the women come out there. And my husband looks over at me and I'm like, what? And he goes, please tell me that you are not going to be still doing this when you're 65 years old. And I said, okay, but what's the alternative? Like, you want me to be in a rocking chair, crocheting, knitting, making cookies? Yeah. No, I'm not doing that.
Right. I mean,
and that was early on.
To those that want to do that, but
that was early on, like my first 1 or 2 shows, right? He's like all in now, right?
Oh, for sure.
Like he's all in. He's digging this. And he kind of gets in prep right with me.
Oh, he 100%
when we do this. I mean, he would never do a show.
He's not about to have a hot bitch wife without being a hot bitch himself.
That's right. He's like, listen, I'm already short. Like I ain't trying to be, or I'm already bald and short. I'm not trying to be the fat guy too.
Yeah. He be knowing.
He's doing all right.
Yeah, he looks great.
He does.
Yeah, he does. Amazing.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what, like, you're not dead. I'm 56 now.
Yeah.
And okay, I was 52 when I first started to do this. Like you have a choice, give up or fucking get on with it, man. And I'm killing it. I feel like
you're doing amazing.
Yeah.
So when you were in the days when you obviously weren't as lean as you are now and have as much muscle as you did now. And it's like, it's that spot when you start weight training where you're like not really doing the diet, but you're doing the training and you're like, I don't fucking know if this is working. Like what kept you going? Like, okay, I'm just going to keep going. It's going to work. It's going to be a thing because a lot of people start weight training. Well, I'm speaking for women because I own a women's personal training studio is they'll start and they're so used to much like you where you're like, I do the cardio thing and like sweating and like the calories and all that. And then you go to weight training and it's like slowed down and controlled and you're lifting and you think, oh, I'm going to get bulky and all this shit. So what kind of switched for you mentally where you're like, no, I'm just going to keep going? Because a lot of people, trust me, I've been in this business forever.
I know.
They start and they join personal training and they're like, oh, I didn't get the results I was looking for. And they quit after 3 months.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, there's definitely those people.
Yeah.
And you just can't really do anything about that. Not everybody can be that person. You know what I mean? People are going to get impatient and just quit. It takes a long time of consistency, right? Like you've got to just keep on going. I mean, you can choose. I hear all the time people tell me you're my inspiration, you're my motivation. They see how long I've been doing this for. They know, you know what I'm saying? People know that that's what you have to do. There's no doubt about it. At this point in life, everybody knows that you've got to keep up at it for a long time, right? If you're going to give up, that's probably what you do with anything. You're probably the kid that played soccer and was like, I hate this, I'm going to quit. And their parents were like, okay, quit. Not us.
You're so not wrong.
Our kids were like, I'm quitting. And we were like, the fuck you are.
Right.
You're seeing this shit through.
You're finishing out the season, bitch.
I don't care if you hate it.
I did that with all of my children.
Okay. So that's sort of how that went for me. Okay. But you're my friend too. So like we hang out. I'm around this all the time. I'm around it all the time. Right. So it's something that I see. It's something that I enjoy. Yeah, I could choose how many days a week I wanted to do this or if I didn't want to do this. But I quickly made it be something that I just do. It's my life. Yeah. I cannot, it's like pooping and brushing your teeth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't recommend that at the same time, but still.
Yes.
It's something that
so what you're saying is that the influence of hanging around with people who are doing the thing also just kind of kept you going.
Like-minded people.
Yes.
You need to surround yourself with like-minded people, no matter what it is that you're doing in your life. For sure, this. And you need to be a goal digger. You really do. You need to be setting those goals and accomplishing them. I can do this.
Yes.
Whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, you keep going. You just keep doing that.
So what do you think you're going to do for the next 5 to 10 years.
Well, I never not want to look like this. Okay. I'm just going to tell you that right now. I'm going to keep getting my hair done. I'm going to keep getting my nails done. I'm going to keep getting pedicures. I'm going to keep putting lotion all over my whole entire body. Mm-hmm. I'm going to keep having lots of sex.
I love that.
I am going to keep working out 5 to 6 days a week. I'm going to keep this shit up until I can't, until something, I don't know, I get hit by a bus or something. Okay. I don't know what it's going to take.
It's basically a part of your lifestyle.
That's right. Yes. It's my lifestyle.
Yeah. Which is important because it's a habit now. Like you said, brushing your teeth, you know, when people can get into the routine of like, there's no like, am I working out this week? It's when am I working out this week?
And you know what? I'm going to tell you something. I enjoy having a few drinks and feeling a buzz, right? I enjoy all of that stuff. When I am in prep, I do not drink at all, like for 6 months at a time. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The new drug, though, during that time is that you're looking great. Yes. You're feeling great. You're looking great. People are talking about it. People want to, everywhere I go, I swear somebody wants to talk about working out. Oh my God, you look great. What do you do? That's a drug. I'm just saying.
It's addictive.
It's a drug.
For sure.
And it's a great drug.
Yeah. So we put up a question box on Instagram. I don't know if you had anybody ask anything on your end, but one of the questions I got, which is related to this conversation we're having right now, is somebody had asked.
No.
How does she drink so much and still is in great shape? I need to know her secrets. So before you dive into that, it's always a running joke that Insta Awesome is on for 6 months and then off for 6 months. Like offline, don't ask me to track a macro or anything. However, as your coach and knowing you through this process over the years and seeing your body in the off season when you're, you know, enjoying life and all the things, I still know that you in your mind now are creating some sense of like, I don't want to say balance, but like, you're making an effort to make it work and still be look in shape. Yeah. Right. So you're having your cake and you're eating it too, for lack of proverbial words.
Sure. So first of all, I think that people probably think that I drink more than I do because I don't drink at all for 6 months. Yeah. And then when we do drink and we hang out and have like, parties and stuff, we're like talking about it and having what did you do last night? Oh, you know, okay. Sometimes I can get a little crazy. Like there's days in a row where we're like going out to dinner or we're on vacation or something like that. And I'm drinking. Well, yeah. You know what? I enjoy that. Like I said, I'm not trying to get through this life sober. Not that that's a bad thing. I am just like, if I could figure out how to do this all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Second of all, I know my body very well. Okay. And I've been doing this and playing with my macros and playing with my body. I know how much I walk every day. I know how much I get on my stair mill. I know what my foods are and stuff like that and where I can incorporate things. Right.
Yes.
Sometimes I can get a little sloppy. That's true. You know, because I have not drank
sloppy.
Okay. So I have not drank for 6 months when I'm in prep at all. Like not even a drink. Some people still have 1 or 2 a week or whatever. Right. So you're not depriving yourself of that. I am. And I do it on purpose and it suits me great. Mm-hmm. So as soon as I can, you know, enjoy that a little bit, I do that. Mm-hmm. And, you know, my husband and I like to go out to dinner, like we're empty nesters. So
for sure,
you know, like if I'll meal prep during the week. Mm-hmm. So I'm about probably 75% on the same stuff that I eat when in prep.
I feel like you're probably closer to like 85.
Probably.
Yeah.
Okay. So the other half, like I'm not that I don't ever, because I do eat dumb shit sometimes when I'm not in prep, but I make good decisions. Usually when we're at restaurants or things like that, I'm not eating the saucy, like when I go to sushi, I still get no sauce on my stuff, right? Like I'm not about it. I don't like that. Mm-hmm. But I do like to enjoy a couple of drinks, you know, I do. Yeah. And I have figured out how to balance it. I can tell when I'm feeling a little crazy, you know what I mean? Where my body's like, bitch, please, what are you doing to me right now? Mm-hmm. So I back off of that. But I do think that people listen to us talk about, because we'll go on vacations or we'll go out to dinner a couple nights a week or whatever. And I'm talking about that, right? Like that's fun.
It's so fun.
Yeah, it's so fun. So I'm talking about it more probably than just that same shit that I'm doing every day for 6 months. Like who cares? Nobody even wants to hear me talk. Like shut up, bitch. We already know you're doing the same thing every day. It's boring. We don't care.
Yes. I think for like as a coach, like when we first started and, you had your first show and I think you maybe checked in once or twice post show and then you're like, nope. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, I'm just taking me off coaching. I'm not doing anything. I'm just kind of doing my own thing. And I was like, freaking out. Right. Second show, kind of the same thing. I'm freaking out, but I'm like, okay, she's managing it. She's not gaining like 30 or 40 pounds in the off season. And like, as your shows have progressed, you've managed your off seasons pretty well. So it's not something I stress out about now. I'm like, this is just how we roll. Right. Like,
I have a good handle of it, I think. Right.
Yeah. And I think so. And I don't, I'm not with you every day, but when we go out to dinner now as friends and whatever, and I see like how you order and, how you eat and things like that, you're not trying to be a glutton. Like, no. Like you have FOMO and you got to eat a ton of food and let me get dessert and also have drinks and like, give me all the appetizers. Like, you're not going crazy.
I'm not that person.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in your brain too, you're like, okay, well, I'm drinking, so I'm not going to do a ton of food or I'm not going to do too much crazy stuff with my food. You keep it pretty clean. You always have some protein in there. It's you're enjoying yourself, but you're not like, you're not ordering like the full fried this and the pasta that and the dessert and like,
no, if I know I'm going to be drinking, I'll try and cut out most of my carbs for the day, depending on the event. If it's just dinner and I know I'm going to have a couple of drinks, then I can figure that out a little bit. But say I have a wedding to go to or something like that, right? Like we're going to be getting down.
Right.
Like I'm cutting out the carbs for the day. I kind of figure it out like that. And you're right. So in prep, you have us weigh ourselves every single day. Out of prep, I do not weigh myself one single solitary time. Not one day, not ever. I have not weighed myself at all. I know how I feel. I know how I look. I know how my clothes fit.
Right.
I can figure it out.
And I think this is really good for people to hear because that can create a whole nother monster, and that because in prep, when I'm like, okay, our target this week is this weight, so we can be paced for what we've been subsequently and kind of where I'm thinking we're going to be based off of like the last year or whatever. Yeah. And if you don't hit that, you fucking go crazy. Yeah. Like you're just like, I don't know what's happening.
I'm fucking hitting that shit, man. I'm telling you, if
this last prep was, I don't want to say it was easy because I know it's not easy, but
it went smoothly. Let's say that. Yeah. It's not that it was easy. It's not that it was hard. It went fan-fucking-tastic. That's what it went.
Yeah.
Like every week I hit my goal every week and it was great. Like I can't complain about that. I'm excited to see what my next prep will be like to see if it continues on with that or if my body's just going to be a little dick because that could happen sometimes too, right?
Yeah. No preps are ever, no two preps are ever the same.
And they've been different every time, but for sure this last time was my favorite.
Yeah. That was just kind of like somebody had asked tips for moving from tracking macros to intuitive eating. Have been tracking for years and I'm so done. That's what this person is saying. So, this strategy that you use is not something that works for everybody. Yeah. And I think you just have fallen into knowing, your hunger cues and like when you're truly like hungry versus, I'm just eating this to be stupid and be an asshole. And like, I'm just eating to eat, but it's taken you some shows to kind of figure that out. Cause like the first couple off seasons weren't as smooth as the last couple,
No. And then even like my show picks from show 1 to show 5, like it's a whole different body. Like I felt like I looked pretty good when I was on my first show. Right.
Yeah, you did.
I look back at the pictures now and I'm like, oh God, that was awful. Like in comparison to now. Right. And you figure it out. And not everybody's as intuitive to their own bodies as other people. And some people have bad relationships with food as well, and that's a hard thing for some people to manage. I think the bigger the asshole that you are, probably the better handle that you have on that situation because you're super strong-willed. And I am just not going.
You mean like asshole in general?
Yeah.
Like you're just an asshole
in general,
not eating like an asshole.
That's right. Just in general, I am an asshole.
Yeah. Assholes live forever.
And so, I mean, like, I just think
it's true. We were just talking about that.
It's true.
We went on air.
Like, nobody in the whole wide world can tell me what to do except for you.
And even then, you're fighting me.
And it's true, but I still do it because I know that you cannot cheat the science. That is something that I told myself a very long time ago. And that very sentence is something that is in my head all of the time. You cannot cheat the science. So, you know what, bitch? You're going to be up there like with an eye patch over your vagina.
Pretty much.
And everybody is going to see all of the dumb shit that you did, or they're going to see that you didn't do any dumb shit. Because when you get down to that percentage of body fat, it's there in black and white. Like, so, we've got X amount of time to do this. It's laid out by you. Generally speaking, let's just say you would need the full time to do that. Like, don't fuck around, man. Like, you're paying a coach. You're putting in all this hard work. You're doing all this stuff. Why are you going to cheat yourself out of that? Like, it's okay. Like, in 6 months, you can fucking eat that or drink that or do whatever you want to do. It's a blip of time, 6 months. Like, honestly, it feels not like that when you're in the middle of doing it, but it really is. I mean, we know that. Tell yourself that,
Did you think you were going to do any more shows after the first one?
No, I was going to be one and done. I had that conversation with many people actually. And I don't even know what happened. The second show, I kind of felt like that too. I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Oh my God, I was supposed to not do this. Yeah. And then you want to know what? Even not this last show, but the show before that, it was sort of a little bit more of a miserable situation. The air conditioning unit wasn't working.
Oh, the show, you mean? Yeah.
The show in general, like it was hot. We were dying. Our tans were melting off of us. My hair was getting all curly because my hair is very curly. It was just miserable. And I hated it. And I laid back there waiting to get on stage. And I thought, why am I doing this? Why can't I just want to be a fit girl and leave it at that? Like, why do I have to do this?
I thought you were done after that show.
I was thinking that. And then, a few months of dicking around went by. And I was like, this is not what I want to be. All the time. I don't want to be this girl just dicking around all the time. So I don't. And I know that I don't want to do that. So, what? I've figured out, first of all, we're always trying to find balance in life. Like, you're going to be finding that shit forever. Okay. Nobody finds it. And then you're like, yeah, I found the balance. No, you're always finding balance.
Something
no matter what
off.
it is.
Yeah.
But I know for sure that I never just want to be off doing stupid shit all the time. I don't. I feel much better about myself when I'm looking good, feeling good. People are noticing. People are asking me questions. I'm somebody's inspiration and motivation. That inspires me and motivates me to be that for somebody. Like, it's just a cycle of great things, in comparison to the flip side.
For sure. So kind of along that line, somebody says, is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it? Asking for a friend.
100,000%.
Yes, it is so true.
No matter what that is.
I had somebody ask me, so I don't know if you've ever had anybody say this to you, but when you're like lean, show lean, and like you're still at the gym and you're still working out and you're doing all the things, and they're like, you're good. You've already got what you need. Why are you still here? And I'm like, because that's not how it works.
Yeah, unfortunately, once you get fit, you got to stay fit. It's crazy, unfortunate, not fair thing.
Right.
But that's the facts.
Yeah. And honestly, you have to, once you get to that point, and like we obviously, for competition reasons and things like that, but beyond that, I think things that I think about more now that I'm 45 is longevity. Like you said too, like I don't want to be, in my 60s and my 70s and being like, have all these health issues and like can't get off the couch and all this shit. So now, for me, I'm not competing anymore, but it's still like, it doesn't stop. Like I want to be in there doing as much as I can for as long as I can, because I don't want to be that sick person who's paying all the money for medical shit and medications and surgeries and shit like that. If I can prevent that.
Absolutely. And we naturally lose muscle, every year. So the more muscle that you're gaining every year is counteracting that and probably even doing better, right? Like I was saying, I look at some of these competitors in their 70s. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, that's fucking crazy. Like, she literally looks like me almost. You know what I mean? She's in her 70s. Like, that's crazy. I'm going to keep on doing this shit forever.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff. So we also got another question.
Okay.
Somebody asked, what is your skincare and your treatments, if you do any?
So, that's a question that I get asked a lot too, about skin and, wrinkly skin, sagging skin, this,
Perfect.
that, or the other
I love
thing.
that. Let's talk about that.
Okay. So first of all, if you are filling your body with muscles, right? Like, not talking about your face. Let's talk about your body.
Right.
And your face, but start with your body. So, you're filling it out more, right?
That's what muscle does.
Yeah. So, it's stretching out your skin a little bit more. Like, if you just are not working out and you're just losing all of your muscle. I've seen plenty of 50, 60-year-old women that just do not have a muscle in sight. Mm-hmm. Their skin is very saggy, very loose. You can see all that. If you've been working out and keeping that up, you're filling it out. That's better, right?
Yeah, with weight training.
Yes.
Yeah, not cardio.
No, it's weight training. You're staying strong. Of course, genetics, right? Like, your skin elasticity. That's something that you cannot help. So that's, you're either good there or you're not good there. You got to work harder at that stuff, right? Definitely putting lotion on your body every day. I drench my body in lotion every single day. I use Hemp's, by the way.
Me too. Yeah.
And for my face, I do use, a skincare line, and I'm not the best at that. I'll tell you what, sometimes I look in the mirror at nighttime and I'm like, ugh, yeah, I'm just going to go to bed right now. I'll take care of that in the morning. And I just go to bed. And that's the worst thing that you can do. And I know that. So that's bad. Mm-hmm. Somebody that smokes, somebody that drinks constantly and a lot all the time, those things work against your face too. So that's how you can also know that I'm not just drinking all the time.
Correct.
So, keep up on that. A good skincare line. There's so many of them out there, whatever works best for you, as long as it's a good thing. I probably don't recommend going to Long's Drugs or
oh my gosh, you remember Long's Drugs?
Yeah. It's not even a thing anymore. Huh? That's how old I am.
Or is it Rite Aid? I don't even know. But I know.
I don't either. But use a good line. They come out with some good shit these days that supposedly helps. Why not use that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Drinking a lot of water in a day, of course, helps your skin. All of that stuff's great. All of the vitamins and supplements that I take, I take handfuls of shit twice a day.
Yeah.
Right? All of that stuff. Do all of those things that are going to make you feel good.
And so one thing we didn't touch on was hormones, right? Oh. Because after 40, it's 45-year-olds, whatever. It's menopause is creeping up, and how does that affect prep and all those things. And when you started with me before competition was even on the radar, I don't think you were doing hormonal things just yet. Or maybe you had just started. I think I was just taking estrogen in pill form at that time. I had a hysterectomy when I was 28 years old. Didn't have any problems until I was 40 with getting the hot flashes and all those things. Mm-hmm. I needed to get those under control. My doctor prescribed me estrogen at that time, just the regular doctor though. Mm-hmm. I started seeing an integrative health. Yes. And, we get that shit dialed. So this is what is normal right here. We can keep you a little bit above that. And I always like to stay a little bit above that with my testosterone, because it gives me a little bit more energy, and helps me for what I'm trying to accomplish. Yeah.
And he tests me every 3 months. I make sure that I stay level with those things. So that's very important, because whether you're in your 50s, there's plenty of 20 and 30-year-olds that struggle with hormonal issues as well. And they don't realize that, right? Because they're 20 and 30. They're like, I'm not having any problems with that. I'm too young.
But a lot of times it's because of birth control.
Yeah. Birth control and different foods that they're eating. Mm-hmm. So many things have things in them now that fucks with your hormones, right?
Right.
So it's important to go have that stuff checked for sure. At the current time and for the last few years, I've been getting the pellets. I get testosterone and estrogen pellets, and I take progesterone by mouth, and I keep all of that stuff balanced. It helps a ton. Sure. I'm sure that helps me with my skin, my hair, all of that stuff, my performance in general.
Oh, for sure.
My libido,
motivation,
in my energy. Motivation, all of it, my will to live. I'm sure.
Pretty much. It's amazing. I've been on testosterone replacement therapy for, 2019.
Yeah.
4 years.
It's a game changer for sure.
Yeah, big time. Okay, so just a couple questions that I know people are usually curious about. So what does your training look like in prep, training in cardio versus what you're doing now?
Okay. So that's, I am an esthetician. I do Brazilian waxing for a living. I see like 12 clients a day. One of the biggest things that they ask me, people that don't maybe get it or understand is, so are you back in training again? Are you still in training? And I'm like, you want to know what? My training never stops. I do the same workouts, honestly, in my off season as I do when I'm in prep.
Yeah.
So I'm still working out 5 days a week. Maybe sometimes it goes to 6, but 5 days a week. I still do the same workouts all year long. Never changes for me. I'm happy to do them. I'm excited to do them. I have a personal trainer at the gym 3 days a week. I do that. And then I do the other 2 days from home for my home gym.
Let's plug Venus Fitness Studio.
Yeah, let's plug it. Let's plug that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I do. And I have no intentions of quitting that. Like, I like it. I could go other places if I wanted to. I don't want to. It's my people. It's my stuff. I'm good there. And it's a group of women that all feed off of each other. Mm-hmm. The competitors are kind of setting an example there. I feel like we keep the lifestyle clients going. Mm-hmm. They're doing the same shit we're doing.
Everybody's doing the same
thing.
They're
doing the same shit. They don't even realize that, but they're doing the same shit that we're doing.
I don't want to work out with the competitors. I'm like,
you're doing the same shit. Same thing. That's right.
The only thing that's different is that their diet and their cardio are different.
And it's amazing. And I've somehow earned the title of being like the mascot there or whatever,
Sure.
And I feel like people go there and they're like, oh my God, I see you like on Diane's Instagram all the time. Nice to meet you. Yeah. And I'm like, just nice to meet you too. Like, that's great. What's your name? Let's keep going. Let's go. Let's do this. Yeah. So I do that. The only thing that changes is like cardio, right?
Yeah.
So as you get closer to show, your cardio usually increases and your calories decrease. On the other side of show, your calories are going to increase and your cardio is going to decrease, right? Mm-hmm. But because I did not have any cardio for like months and months, sorry.
I'm sorry. I was so perfect.
And so now I'm like incorporating other shit into my life. Like, my diet has changed a bit, about 25%. So now I've got to incorporate some kind of cardio. I'm kind of figuring it out myself. I usually do about 20 minutes on the stair mill. I have one at home, and I'm doing that like 3-4 times a week for 20 minutes, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm also doing this 3-mile walk. In the end of the day, I get in between 10 and 13,000 steps right now, which is important. I used to think that was stupid. I'm not tracking my steps. That's for people that don't even know what exercise is really about. Okay. Right. Like, I'm not doing that, but it tracks your activity level, and that's important to know. Mm-hmm. And I don't fuck around. I'm not like just walking lollygagging. I am walking like I'm kind of running a little bit, right? So
aggressive power
that's walk. Important too. So I make sure that I do that every day, with the exception of a few failure days of that, right? But I'm never missing a workout. So that stays the same. Right?
Yeah. And you fired me.
Not really.
I just think it's funny because you're like, I'm not doing this check-in bullshit anymore.
And I mean, what's the point? So for me, like for some people, it's very important to be accountable to you all the time. For me, like I said,
I know where to find you.
I've got it figured out enough to where I am good. Mm-hmm. Like, I know when to put on the brakes, to pull off the brakes. I know when I'm fucking up and doing dumb shit. Like, come on, Tina. Like, don't do that. We already know that that's stupid.
Right.
So I won't do that because I know that. So what's the point? Like, what would I do? I would check in with you every week. It'd kind of be like, okay, this is where I'm like fucking, I'm not even going to do what you tell me to do anyway. So I'm going to spare you the words in a day.
Exactly.
And
thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it all works out. Mm-hmm. You'll be back probably January.
Now for other people, it's not like that. They need that. And that's great. Do it if you need it.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of people do.
Yeah. And need it. I mean, it's good to need it.
Yeah. Okay. So we're coming to close to the end of the podcast here. It's about an hour now. So let's roll into, what would you tell somebody in their 50s who's like, there's no way in fucking hell I would ever be able to do this thing? Much like yourself, because I'm sure this is what you were thinking, early in your 50s when you first started pondering, oh, maybe I'll do this competition thing. So like, what would you tell the Tina back then, basically, who is thinking all the things that Tina thought back then and told me 100 times? I'm stupid. This is dumb. I can't believe I'm doing this. Why am I fucking doing this? I'm old as fuck.
It's weird because when I turned 40, I was like, oh my God, I'm almost dead. This sucks. Like, fuck, right?
Yeah.
When I turned 50, I thought, okay, this is funny now, right? Like, I'm fucking 50 years old. But then I realized, like, I am going to live for probably, let's just say 30 more years. Let's just throw that number out there. That's a lot of fucking years. Mm-hmm. And you can either, they say one day or day one, and that's true. Like, I mean, what if when I was 50 years old, I was like, fuck that. I'm just going to get old now. I'm just going to stop doing all these things and not doing it. And I'd be 56 right now, fat
unhealthy.
Or unhealthy. Let's say that unhealthy, just not, I didn't want to do that. And I see that now as a result of my consistency. Like, let's give it a good 3 years, right? Let's just do that. Like, listen, if you're 50, when you're 53, big whoop, you're 53, you're probably going to live until you're 80 something years old. Like, how do you want to do that? And that's exactly true. I heard you say it in one of the podcasts recently, like, like you might not be able to get up from your chair. I'm pretty sure I can outrun my children still. My 20 and 30-year-old children. You know what I mean? Like, I know that they look at me and think, Jesus Christ, like that's fucking crazy right there. You know what I mean? And I love that. I want to be crazy. I want to be crazy forever. I want to look crazy. I want people to talk to me about fitness. I want them to look at me and know that they can talk about fitness. Like that's a thing that you can talk to me about because you see me doing it.
Yeah.
And I don't never want to stop that. I don't ever. I want to feel like that forever.
I love that for you. Amazing.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, how many people just on the internet have been like completely inspired by your story. And then the studio, again, you're the mascot for a reason. You've been around, probably one of the longest clients that I've had that's coming besides Aaron Fasha. But, that's a whole nother story. But it's, it's cool, not just because you're 56, but it's the journey that you've embarked on from day one where you didn't even want to fucking walk through the door, where you're like,
no.
I have video somewhere of you in just like a big t-shirt, big sweatpants. And you're like, get out of my face with the video because I was getting content,
along those lines, in my 30s when I was way overweight, and I think I mentioned before that I was up to like 172 pounds once, right? Like having sex, I would not take my shirt off. There was no way my shirt was coming off when I was having sex. If I could take my skin off when I'm having sex, I would do that. I cannot be naked enough. I want to be naked all the time.
I know you do want to be naked.
I really
all
do.
The time.
And I'm telling you, it's at the gym. There's 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, and they look at me and they see this 56-year-old bitch like killing this shit, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my God, like, I want to do that right there. Well, yeah, come on. Let's do this. Let's do this together right here. You know, if I'm doing this stuff, you can totally do this shit. Like, if for no other reason that I'm doing this, but to let all these other chicks at the gym know that you could do this shit. Like, you're only fucking 20 years old, bitch. Shut up. Okay. You can do this shit.
Yeah. Capitalize on that. For sure.
Do it.
So what's the future for Insta Awesome? So for those of you listening, that's her Instagram handle. Please go follow her. Insta Awesome. That could have been a better name, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
But what are future goals, aspirations that you have in the fitness realm?
Okay. So 2 competitions ago, I had placed first and was able to do a national show and go for my pro card. I decided I didn't want to do that at that time. Reason being is because I know that it usually takes more than one time to actually get your pro card. But I knew that once I got my pro card, like, I don't want to really compete as a pro because that's all the time. Like, I can't have this downtime that I like to have sometimes and do those things. Right. So I decided to just let that run out because you get a whole year after that to try and go for that. And then then you forfeit that. Right. And have to start over again. Yeah. So I let that happen, and I let that happen on purpose. So this last competition, I placed first again. So now I've qualified to do a national show again. I have all of next year to do that. My thought right at this moment is that we'll hit another amateur show in June just to see how I'm stacking up, because these 50-year-olds are killing it these days.
Ridiculous.
Like, my God, I just watched the Masters show in Pittsburgh, and these 50-year-old women, oh my God, they're incredible. I can't even explain it. Okay, so we're going to do the June show, and then we'll see how I'm feeling, and then possibly do Pittsburgh to try and go for my pro card in July. Amazing. We'll see how I feel. I still sort of feel that I don't really want to compete at a pro level, but once you earn that pro card, you cannot compete as an amateur anymore. So that would end my career.
Stealing the trophies from the other 50-year-old women.
Okay, so that's my option then. Get a pro card. You're either going to continue as a pro now, or you're going to just hang it up and be like, okay, we're done now. I feel like, in my brain, I'm like, I don't think that I can compete against these 50-year-old women. It's anybody that gets their pro card once they do their pro debut, you go from placing first to being kicked way back. And it's just something that you have to experience and go through. Like, it's just a thing, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So then that's fine. You have to just know that. At the moment, my thought is, I just want to get my pro card and be like, later. But then I think to myself, okay, this is what I experience every year with, do I want to do another show? I'm not sure. I don't think that I'm going to be able to be okay with not competing anymore. I don't think that I'm going to. I think that once I would earn a pro card, maybe I will never, maybe I will.
Yeah.
That I'm going to need that goal every year. I'm going to need those goals.
Yeah. No, and you're right, because I remember very vividly when I had my pro debut and I got 5th place and 6th place. I think we went to dinner after that.
Which was great. Like, that's stupid good.
I was happy.
Yeah.
But I think back then, because like you had obviously competed already, but you haven't had as much experience as you do now. You were like, are you kind of disappointed? Because you're used to like always getting first and overalls. And I'm like, no.
I didn't understand how that worked quite then.
You didn't. And I was like, oh no. I'm amazed.
That was amazing.
That I even fucking placed right now.
Hell yeah.
So I'm completely content with that. But it's a whole different game. It kicks you back to the bottom and you're starting all over again, especially because a lot of these pros that you're competing with have been competing as pros for a while. It's very like, I was the only one at that show that I competed at that was making their pro debut.
Yeah.
Out of, I don't know, 13 people or something like that, whatever.
Yeah.
So I was the new kid on the block, right? And so when you're the new kid and these other people have been in front of the judges. And been getting their reps.
They've been a pro for a minute doing these shows. Now you're brand new.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a game changer. But I mean, it's something that you do every year, and it gives you a goal.
Yeah.
And you like it because it helps you stay looking sharp as a tack during the summer when you're in your bathing suit and you're out, you're doing all these things and you're like showing off all your hard work, which rightfully so. And I think you found a really good balance with that. So it's like you have your super focused time and you're like in the zone and you compete. And then several months after that, you still look incredible. And then we go into the winter and you're like, okay, great. Like, I'm going to have a few months of just having to wear clothes now because it's freezing outside. And then January hits and then we start all over again. And it's really, I think it's honestly a better option for your metabolism too, for you to not be doing so many shows back to back and trying to kill yourself.
Sure, I think a little break is kind of good in between. I did want to say this. So my last show that I did, the show that we did added a 55 plus category. That was their first time ever adding the 55 plus category. And I was super excited about that. So last year's show, I turned 56 the day before the show.
Yes.
But they didn't have that category yet. And then this year, when they added the 55 plus, my birthday was actually the day of the show.
Yeah.
Which that was kind of exciting. So I was 56 years old for the 55 plus. That was exciting. It was just me and another gal that were up there and she looked amazing. Yeah. She really did. I was a little nervous, to be quite honest with you.
I wasn't.
You could see the differences. When I first looked at her, I was like, oh God, she was a very pretty girl. But I've been at it for a minute, and that was her first show. Okay. We were up there, and we first got up there. They put us side by side, and Sandy took a moment to break from the show. And she said, can we just I am looking at this paper and seeing that you guys are 55 plus, and I am absolutely amazed with your physiques. This is just stupid that you guys even look like this. Yeah. And the whole place clapped, and it just felt surreal for me for a minute, Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, well, I'm definitely going home with a medal because there's only 2 of us up here, Right. And I was like, so that's great. And then I thought, wait, no, I'm either winning or I'm losing right now, which that sounds terrible, but it's true. There was only 2 of us, and I did place first. So that was fantastic. It was the first ever of that category. I placed first in it. It was a fantastic moment for me, right? Mm-hmm. 50 plus, the girls looked amazing, right? I see that category growing and becoming just crazy.
The 50 and over.
Yes. Yeah. And I placed 4th in that, right? Mm-hmm. Some wild hair got up your ass, and you were like, when I was checking in the night before, and you were like, do the 45 plus. And I was like, oh God, stay in your own lane, Tina. You're fucking 56 years old. Those girls are 11 years younger than you, right? No. So here's a good point, because she always tells us, you make sure that you stay poised up there and in your pose, no matter what, because anything can happen. Okay. Mm-hmm. So 45 plus, we're up there. First call outs happen. I am in second call outs, and I'm 6th, right? I'm the next girl, the first one in second call outs. And I'm like, God damn it, Tina, you just should have stayed in your own fucking lane. I knew it, right?
And I'm like, oh God, she's going to be so mad at me.
It was fine. It was fine. 6th, in my head, I'm like, 6th is not bad out of all these girls.
That was a huge group.
Yeah, it was. And I'm 11 years older than some of these girls. This is great, right? We just kind of wanted to see where I was going to stack up against them. Mm-hmm. You go to break, finals or after. We get back up there for finals. They're calling the girls up, and I fucking placed 5th.
Okay.
I placed 5th. I got a fucking medal.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Yes. Fuck yes. I was almost more excited about that than first place.
For sure.
Because
it was a bigger pool of people to be judged against.
Bigger pool of people.
Way
younger than me. I didn't expect it, but I made sure that I stayed up there just
holding your own.
Happy as fuck to be up there. You know what I mean?
It was great.
And I placed, and that was great. So there's that. I just wanted to say that.
It was super fun. Yeah. It was a rewarding time as a coach to be like, and I told you.
Yeah. Ta-da.
I mean, I had no way of predicting that because, you never know with those things. But it was like, look, you have a crazy shape. Everything. This is the best your body's ever looked. Let's do it. If I'm wrong, then we don't have to ever do it again.
Yeah.
But let's just at least try it. And it turned out to be a great
celebration. It was a good day.
Yeah, it was really
fun.
And
it was my birthday. So we partied hard after that.
We sure did. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So thank you for recapping all the things. It was so much fun to have you back on after over a year.
Yeah, it's been a year and a half.
The last time, and obviously having new insights and perspectives and all that fun stuff. But it's always fun for people to go follow you. So I know I've mentioned it a couple times. Where can they find you? All that fun stuff.
I am Insta Awesome on Instagram, Insta_AWE_some, SOME. I also have Facebook, Tina Bauer. You can find me on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's fun just to watch your journey and,
I'm always happy to answer questions for people or, encourage you in any way. I post stuff often.
Yeah. You've had lots of features on Fit Over 40 and all these little Instagram.
Yeah, I was even their cover. I was their cover for a month.
That's right. Wasn't it your birthday month?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So, and I know you gained a lot of followers from that feature as well. So super fun to see you in the fitness world, which would have never been something I thought was even going to happen.
No.
5 years ago, even.
Yeah.
So super fun.
It's a great thing.
Yeah. Well, I love you.
And we still love each other.
I love you.
I was just going to say that. I love you too.
I can't wait for January.
Yeah. I can't wait for it either.
Yeah. So thank you, you guys. Thank you so much for listening. If you are over 40, over 50, it doesn't mean you're dead. It's never too late to start.
Never.
So get on board,
Be amazing.
Be amazing. Start, be consistent, and just keep working.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
All right, bitches. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.